Sarah and Max, an unlikely pair in this wild podcast, they're the perfect flair. Sarah's charm, so feminine and free, a Cali girl spirit under the podcast tree. Max a strong force with a punch in every word. Together they navigate this dating absurd. Don't forget to hit subscribe, join the crew for more laughs and tales just for you. Now back to the show.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Good for Shidduchim. I'm your host, Sarah Levine. You guys should already know Max Landisman at this point.
Thank you. So that's a good thing.
Yes.
Or a bad thing, whichever.
You know what? If they know you, they know you.
That's right.
We just wanted to thank our 5-star reviewers, our followers, and people who have been leaving us good reviews. So we do appreciate that.
And just people that listen to the episodes and actually reach out and just say how much they enjoy it. Minus that one schmuck who's like, hey, whatever.
Okay.
It's whatever, but couldn't give any specifics.
We can take bad comments.
I know.
We don't mind.
I just
bad.
I love to rip on them.
Listen, all press is good press.
No, 100%.
So
but
if you don't like us, and you wanna say it, please email us at goodforshidduchim@gmail.com.
No, I just love ripping on people that when they ripped on us, I thought it was so funny that they just could not give one example. And
it's fine.
I love it.
They don't have to. Anybody
can.
We're here for the people.
That's
so
right.
people can email us at goodforshidduchim@gmail.com and also follow us on Instagram at goodforshidduchim. Shidduchim is SHIDDUCHIM.
And another good thing about this podcast, it taught you how to spell.
That is correct.
Yes, amazing.
I am a terrible speller.
But we have a really special guest today.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I'm so excited to have my dear friend and colleague, Nahima.
And before you get into that, Nahima is not Jewish. People are thinking like, who's Nahima? She's probably some shocking. No. Please tell her.
Nahima, she'll talk about her cultural background, where she's from, and her dating in her culture, but she is from Bangladesh, and she has just a lot of interesting insight on the dating over there and the cultural differences and the cultural similarities that Jewish dating does have with Bangladesh culture. So I was very excited to have her come on the podcast. I honestly didn't think she would be so open, but she was like, yeah, sure, no problem.
This was fascinating.
It was very fascinating.
I was really involved and very interested to hear what she had to say, and
yes.
She did not disappoint.
Yeah. So, So she
was very open about it.
She was very open, and we really hope that you guys enjoy what she has to say.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions for her that we could reach out to her at a later date, please feel free to comment or reach out to us via email.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Mm-hmm.
And until then, here we go.
Okay, guys, we have a really special guest on our podcast today. She is a coworker of mine. I was her mentor. What's it called, Nahima? Preceptor. Preceptor,
mentor, yes.
Preceptor?
Yeah, like I taught her the ropes in the NICU. Yeah, I still don't know how they let me do that.
That was awesome. Just so you know, she's a great nurse.
Oh, thanks, Nahima.
Yeah,
so are you.
She actually helped me. I think I had wood literally lodged into my hand that she had to surgically remove. That would be a joke if I wasn't joking. I wasn't joking.
Yeah, it was a pretty bad splinter.
No, it wasn't like crazy, but it was real. It was painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Nahima works with me, and we do have 2 different cultural backgrounds. She'll explain to us her cultural background, and in terms of dating, how that all like kind of goes together. So welcome, Nahima.
Thank you for having me, Sarah. I'm excited. Glad that you guys are exploring different cultures. I think that's amazing. So I'm Nahima. I'm from Bangladesh. A lot of people really don't know about Bangladesh because every time they look at me, they're like, oh, hey, are you Indian or Pakistan? So Bangladesh is a country in Southeast Asia. Originally, it was part of India and Pakistan at one point, and fairly almost 30 years ago, it got its own independence. It used to be East Pakistan, and then because of the cultural differences, they separated and became its own country in fairly new 1972.
Oh, wow.
So
I didn't know that part of the history. That's so interesting.
many people aren't familiar with it
Yeah.
as an independent country.
Yeah.
Have you ever been told this? But Nahima sounds like a Jewish name,
Does it?
Yes, a lot of my Jewish
right?
patients actually told me that Naima actually means pleasant in
You
Like
do
Jewish.
seem
I've
Nahama?
heard,
pleasant to me.
Like
Yeah.
yeah,
Nahama?
You seem pleasant to
yeah.
me. I've heard
I've heard that a
Naima,
lot.
Nama, whatever, you
Oh,
know.
Nama.
Nama or
Yeah.
yeah. That's so interesting. Yeah, I was just curious.
It's just so funny because I feel like Naima, like at work, people call you so many different
So,
things.
yeah,
Like what?
She gets
Like,
called, what do you get called again?
Nahima, Nahama, like just
the
even
Chama.
I've gotten Naomi before. I'm like, whoa, like that's so different.
Those are the people we don't like, though. Those people, you know.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
No, it's okay. She's probably just like, all right,
Okay.
what up?
Whatever.
Yeah, I'm a twin brother, so they would call me either Max or Shlomi. So whatever they call me, like
Wow.
whatever, I don't care at this
Like-
point.
Okay, great. So, Naima, we did want to dive into a little bit. Well, you told us about like your cultural background, which is actually very interesting. We did want this podcast, like you said, we don't want to we know that there's different dating cultures outside of the Jewish culture. And so we wanted to kind of see similarities or differences in that realm. So, we wanted to ask you just a couple questions. So you did tell us a little bit about your cultural background. The Jewish culture does have a whole world dedicated to dating and focuses on dating. And is that the same for you in your culture?
So in Bengali culture, dating is very like taboo. It's like a no-no. You are not supposed to date. It is very ideal for the father to just find a suitable mate for
That,
his.
yeah.
The dating is actually like a no-no.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, so like if you go back to like a very like or orthodox or very conservative Bengali scholars, they will tell you that dating is actually a no. Like you're not supposed to date once you've reached a certain age. Your father will find a suitable mate for you. So, but as we know, things have changed and people do date around now.
Okay. What was like a marriageable age generally?
Well, if you would tell me like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, my older sister got married at the age of 15.
Wow.
So I'm one of 8. My oldest sister had gotten married at the age of 15, and I got married at the age of 22. So I'd say, think me and her, we have a 10-year age difference. Things have changed a lot.
Yeah. How come she had to wait so long until she was 15? Like, why not, you know?
Oh my God, that's just Max for you right
Nah,
there,
I'm just
Naima.
kidding. I'm just messing with it. Yeah. I hope Sarah
No,
told you
she-
about me. I could be a
I did
real-
not give you a heads up, Naima. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Well, basically, my father, when he first immigrated to this country, he had 5 daughters. So in Bangladesh, having daughters is a lot more responsibility because back in the day, everyone wanted a dowry. So you give your daughter off. It's basically like you have to pay. You have to give
Right.
them because nobody wants to take your daughter. But 10 years later, things have changed so much that nowadays nobody even asks for a dowry because girls are just more educated now. That's not the case. I'm probably like diving out of dating, but I'm gonna retract myself back. So as far as like what happens is if you really want to date, there are a lot of matchmakers they have, or
Nice.
they have basically like if my father was trying to get me married off, he would speak to people in the neighborhood in the Islamic community, and he would reach out and say, hey, so my daughter's this, these are her qualifications, I'm trying to find a suitable husband for her. So basically a lot of it is by word of mouth, and just like letting the word out is one way. And once you do find a few suitable suitable mates, is something called chaperone dating. So basically because you can't kiss, because you're not supposed to have any sexual or physical contact before marriage, chaperone dating is very common, where the girl and guy would meet, and there will also be someone with them the whole time, just to prevent from them from doing any of that.
And who is the chaperone? Is it like a parent or is it a random person that has nothing to do with either side?
Usually the chaperone, they try not to make it a parent because it's just very awkward for the children. Many
Right.
times it will be a lot like an aunt or an uncle or an older sibling.
I hear.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Or-
So Naima, just to backtrack a little bit, it sounds like that there's like a traditional way to get married, and then there's more of a modern way, I would say. Is that correct? More of a modern form of the dating process or the marriage process where you could use a chaperone for if you wanted to properly date somebody.
Yes, that would be the ideal Islamic and Bengali way would be to, have your dad find you a mate. And, sometimes they do allow chaperone dating just because nowadays, everyone wants to meet their spouse and future partner instead of their father approving it. So that's one way to just get them to get to know each other.
Right.
So would a father then does a father make the decision if somebody is going to just get married, he'll just find the match? Or let's say somebody's like, Dad, I really just want to date, like chaperone date. If he says no, is it a no?
Well, technically, if your father says no, it's supposed to be a no. Yes. If he doesn't want you to chaperone date, then you're supposed to obey your father.
Do you in our religion? I'm very much against it, but they use this thing called a resume. Like it's unfortunate, but like like a job resume and a dating resume. Do you guys have that also, or is it just we're just?
So ideally, when when let's say my father wants to look for suitable mates for me, he will. There's something called like a profile, like a biodata profile.
A biodata. Okay.
Yeah, now people email it. Before it was just like a piece of paper where like they would give pictures and say about background. Background is very, very important. Caste is very important. A caste system is more in India. In Bangladesh it has a lot of states. So every single state has different dialects.
Gotcha.
And it's slightly different in culture. So usually people are so specific that they didn't even want to marry someone outside of their states.
Yeah.
Just because the dialect and culture is different. So I'm from Sylhet in Bangladesh, and my husband is from Chittagong. My father didn't want me to marry him because he was from a different state.
Right.
And you married from a different country, what would happen? So that's just 2020. We got married 2011. It wasn't even that.
Congrats, Mazel tov.
Wow.
Mazel tov.
Yeah. So he was against a different state. Like he wanted me to marry someone in my own state. So they're like very specific.
Was there any specific difference between like you guys couldn't communicate with each other? It sounds like you guys can do that, but was there anything like specific, or was it just really he just from another place?
Yeah, he's just from a different state, so the dialects are slightly different. The food is slightly different. Just because of that reason.
Okay.
I was gonna say, Naima, I remember you saying like, I guess how you dated your husband and how you married your husband is like a little like
she met on Tinder, right?
No.
Against all the rules.
Yeah, against all the rules.
Naima.
So was your dad like really upset, or was your
How did they meet?
We actually met through a friend, and we dated, and my dad was against my wedding. Even one of my brothers refused to come to my wedding.
Are you serious? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
One of my brothers did not come to my wedding. He just refused because he was upset that I chose my own life partner, even though he was from my country. He was from a different state. They just didn't like the fact that I did it on my own and didn't go through the process of having my father choose someone for me, or my brothers and my father together choose a suitable mate for me.
Looking at it from a Jewish perspective, the fact that you found him on your own and didn't have to pay a middleman to save money, I mean, we're all for that, right?
Yeah,
we're Jews. We're just cheap people.
I think what influenced me to find someone on my own was seeing my sister get married at such a young age, and seeing that although her husband is a great partner and a great person, she never loved him. So that influenced me, being
Right.
one of the youngest, to be more amendable to breaking rules.
Yeah.
So
Now,
is
does it say that I am more liberal than
mm,
other Bengalis? Because we have a lot of conservative and very Orthodox Muslims who would never do that. I have a lot of cousins that would never like speak up against their father. So I think it's it's a lot to do with like how your mentality is and how you grew up and what you grew up seeing.
Yeah.
and I know you're speaking a lot about the father, and the father seems like he has basically the dominant role in this. Does your mother or do any mothers like have any say or any role when it comes to somebody who is looking for a match?
I the mothers do, but at the end of the day, the father is the one who makes the ultimate decision. He is basically the authoritative figure in the family.
Yeah.
Understandable.
So I've
Okay.
got a question with you about going back to the resume.
Hmm.
And for you, it's bio data, correct?
Yeah, it's like a biodata they
Gotcha.
usually call it.
Gotcha. Okay, so like with us, they put a lot of just stuff that's completely meaningless. Like I'm family oriented. Like who isn't, right? Like I was just wondering like what goes on your bio? Like what do you put on? Like you say like okay, you're from so and so location. Do you put any like anything? Is there a
So
specific thing you guys put on?
yeah, so your name, your age, date of birth, all of that stuff. Education is very important. Another thing that's very important is kind of your family background. In Bangladesh, so we have royalty families, very well known, very well off. So that's also very important.
Like
People
you
include
gotta write like are you rich or you're not rich? Like, is that
no, you don't really write rich, and like in Bangladesh, there's certain
like you just
surnames.
know?
Yeah, the like Chaudhry and Bhuiya, which are certain surnames that are very like
Uh,
wealthy families. So,
gotcha.
surname is very important.
Oh,
If you come from a very wealthy family back home, you're gonna have that surname attached to you. So that really matters, which a lot of people look at because they assume that if you're from a good family background, then you're a good person, which is like ridiculous because you can come from a great family and be an asshole.
yeah,
So
100%.
that's
Right.
and
Yeah.
everyone obviously wants their daughter to marry off into a well family, so she's well off. So surnames are very, very important in Bangladesh. And then they would include education has become very important now as well. And as far as occupation, what kind of job do you do? Are you going to be able to take care of my daughter? But sometimes a lot of it is very hard to like verify nowadays. So people will send biodatas, but you have to actually go back home and have someone actually go see is all of this actually true that they said.
Oh,
Yeah.
have people lied on
I'm
their
sure they have.
biodata?
People,
I'm
yeah,
sure. Like
people
with
have lied
anything.
all the time. Yeah, and like this is like a while back, but before back in the day when they would send biodatas, they would send pictures of one sister to a guy, and when he's going to marry, they would marry him over to a different sister.
Are you
They would show
serious?
they would
Wow.
show
They
they would
did
show
that?
the prettier sister and then marry off to the other sister.
Oh my gosh.
Because
Oh my
when
gosh.
a guy comes from America, the family knows that the pretty one will get married because Bangladesh is a very poor country, and when a father has a lot of daughters, it's very hard for him to marry them off.
Wow.
It's one of the poorest and densely populated countries in the world.
Wow. But if that happens, like I'm sure the husband eventually finds out. Like, isn't there I don't know, is there like a divorce or I mean, then I'm
I
sure it's
mean,
not he's not too
honestly,
happy.
I've heard stories where they just like stay with them because they feel bad too. Like there's or just it just once you're married, you're married. You're not gonna just divorce the girl the day after. The community. You have to think of the community. You have to think about the people. You have to think about everything else. So
Right.
When Sarah
you
was
can't and divorce is also very taboo
taboo,
I
yeah.
was gonna say it's probably
The-
like it
it's
like
a very big deal to get a divorce.
and like
All,
the community is probably very involved in the background, like the peripheral
yeah.
part of it too.
But like, getting all of that out is a lot more hard work than saying, "Hey, I don't want to be with you." Like they married me to the wrong girl.
Yeah. When Sarah was getting married to my twin brother, people were worried that they'd switch Shlomi for me, and what if Sarah? I guarantee you, Sarah will notice right away in about 5 seconds.
You know? That's, I
It-
mean, getting back to now, like our family here in America now, there's a lot of interracial marriage, and I think parents are just, like they know their children are dating, and once they reach a certain age, if they would tell them about marriage or finding them a maid, they would, if they say, hey, like I'm dating this person, they would like meet them and be more open. So I do really think lots of things have changed now. Although back home, I can't say a lot about that. So kind of conservative back home, but in here, I would say I've seen a lot more like interracial marriages where people have accepted, and other interracial marriages where the father just said, "Oh no, I can't accept you. You're not my daughter anymore," and they just break all ties and relationships off.
Oh,
Wow.
I understand.
It's
Wow.
Yeah,
crazy.
they would just like, I don't agree with you. You can marry. I'm done with you. I've had cousins and friends who just like, after marriage, the family has just cut off all ties with them. So that's very, very different spectrums, and I think a lot of it has to do with how you grow up, and and what type of authority figure your father is. Is he liberal,
Crazy.
conservative? I think that also matters a lot now.
Do you also have, is there like for us, there's kind of like a age barrier, I would say. Like some guys only like to date younger than them, or some girls like to date guys at a certain age. It doesn't sound like there's so much autonomy for women to have any choice, but like, do the men prefer a specific age? And is there any age like max or minimum to marrying off a girl? Like if a girl is 15, are they going to marry off to a 45-year-old?
Well, not in America, but
No, not in America. Going back.
Going back home. So
Yeah.
recently, I don't know how long ago, but I think within the 10 years, 10 years ago, at the age of 18 became the legalized age to get married in Bangladesh. Before that, there was no legalized age.
oh wow,
So
gotcha.
that's
Okay,
why people were able to marry off 12 years old, 30s and 15, and
it's crazy. Yeah.
but now it's illegal to get married if you're less than 18. But as far as can an 18-year-old marry like a 45-year-old, yeah, if she wants to. I would say I see those in extreme cases where the father is from very, very poor and can't afford to get his daughter married off. But otherwise, usually men would prefer someone usually younger than them. But not like 10, 15 years younger, not like that. I'd say like at least a 5, 6 year gap is what's very common from men nowadays getting married. They usually prefer to have someone minimum like 5 years. They really don't want someone any younger just because they realize that the mentality just doesn't seem to click at that point.
Are there like one-offs where a guy will go out with someone who's like 5 years older than them?
A guy would go out with someone for, yeah, I mean, I've seen it here. Have I seen it, heard about it back home? No. Here it's
Right.
more.
Yeah.
Where the guys would date older women here.
Yeah.
Very
And do they?
interesting.
I assume they also put height on the bio data, correct? Or I mean, we do that.
Yes, height is very
Height is very
important.
important
For the
right?
woman?
For the woman.
Skin
For the
is-
women. Yeah.
Being fair skin is also very important in Bangladesh. For some reason, as across all countries, fair skin is considered beautiful. So that's also something I feel like that they really haven't grown out of. That they basically think if you're tall and you're fair skin, that makes you beautiful. And if you're
Wow.
brown and you're colored, then you're not pretty, because they want their son to have a female who's to have pretty babies. So ideally, whenever a guy would come to the house to see his maid, the bride would be expected to come out, show her hair to the mother-in-law, make sure she has good hair, make sure she can walk straight, look at her skin,
Walk
nails.
straight?
Yeah, just want to make sure she has good
Not after a
posture.
12-hour shift.
Yeah. So these were things that in some communities in Bangladesh they
Yeah.
still do. Wherever when they come in, they'll look at her skin, they'll look at her hair, they'll look at her nails, they'll have her do a small catwalk and see her posture. Those are
Wow.
just like the benign things that they unfortunately still look at that are really important. The color of her skin, her tone, before the mother, the sister, the father all agree to make to make her the bride for their son.
Does
Those are
the
things that
Does the father bring out like one of the, like when you check diamonds, you bring out like a magnifying glass? Do they like magnifying glass the skin,
No,
whatever?
no, but
Like
you
make sure
never
it's
know,
real.
Matt.
You never know. That's what she
Make
said.
sure everything is in order here.
Do the men have standards that they have to keep, or not really?
I feel like men have lower standards if the girl is not from a very royalty family.
Gotcha. So it's kind of about a status thing.
It's a lot about status, because if it's a father who's very poor and he's a farmer, or like a cab driver, and he doesn't have tons of money, he's not going to really have high expectations. He just wants to be able to marry his daughter off, because keeping her is a huge burden on him as well.
Right.
He's getting older, he has to buy her food and clothing. He can barely provide for himself and his other children. But if it's a royalty family or a wealthy family, then yes, they would have really high standards from the men as well.
Right.
It all kind of have to do with like status and caste and, where you're from. Like if a guy goes from America and he's trying to find a girl, it's so much easier for him to have tons and tons of biodata thrown at him, because everyone wants to come to the U.S.
Right.
Compared to a guy back home. Because, they get their daughter sent off here, then basically, that means that's a ticket for them all to be here as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Are there any like entrepreneurs? Because it's like, in America you can start off like poor as anything, but then you hit it big and you could be like a billionaire or whatever, become a millionaire. I mean, in Bangladesh, you were mentioning about their surname, but let's say someone who started out poor, like, is there a chance that they could become very well?
Absolutely. There's a lot of people who are from poor families, but then they go off to college and they get great scholarships and they like do IT or open business. And, if you have a good business and good income, then that's very important as well.
Yeah, well,
I think there's a lot of similarities that overlap. Like somebody who I feel like there is like a money status here too.
Yeah.
Like with our resumes, like
I think
money likes to marry money.
Honestly, I think in your culture, it's more straightforward.
Yes.
By us, it's like indirect. It's like everyone knows, but like no one's being straightforward about
like,
it.
I don't think she's good for my son, but like why?
Right.
Nobody will be like, because we know how much his parents make,
Yeah,
So-
no, that's really important, because like my brother-in-law, we're trying to get him married now, and he wants to go back home and get married, and we've been sending out, lots of proposals and stuff for him, and he's my husband is Bunya, so he's from a very wealthy, well-known family, so it's been really hard for them to try to find a good proposal for him, because they have such high standards.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And may I ask, how long have you been have you gone out with your current husband?
How long we've been
when you were dating?
We dated for 4 years before we got married.
4 years. Wow. Wow. How'd you get away with it?
Nahima does what she wants. She's unapologetically herself.
Good for her.
I was very rebellious. I wasn't a typical Bengali girl like I should have been. So, and I think I was one of the youngest. So seeing my siblings go through that, I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not listening to others.
So
I'm
do
not
they
married if you want me to.
Right? Do they call your marriage a love marriage?
Yes, they do call my marriage a love marriage. Yes.
Versus what, a non-love marriage? What?
But versus an arranged marriage.
Arranged marriage or a love marriage?
Love marriage, yeah. So like most of my older siblings had arranged marriage where my parents would choose their partner, and then they got married. Versus me and my younger siblings, a few of us, which kind of just rebelled, fell in love here and were like, we're gonna do what we want, and we did. They gave in. There was one of my sisters who actually my dad didn't talk to her for almost 8 years.
Oh my gosh.
And then
Crazy.
finally he gave in. So I feel like it took my dad a while to kind of like become who he is.
Right.
I hear.
Like when I was marrying my husband, just be like, finally agreed to it, because he saw what happened with my other sister, and how speaking to her for 8 years, he missed out on so much in her life.
Oh, that's so hurtful. But I guess it's like, it's just how it is.
Yeah, versus my older sister who, had gotten married to a great guy, but to this day, he's her best friend, but she doesn't love him. So I feel like my dad also learned and grew with time with his own children.
Right.
To see like what was wrong.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Naima, for
course.
sharing. I know that's a lot to give over, and we do
No,
appreciate you opening up and talking about your culture.
Good.
okay. Thank you for having me, guys.
Our
Wish you guys the
pleasure.
best
Our pleasure.
podcast.
Thanks for
I'll
coming.
see you
All right,
at
then bye.
work.
Take care. Bye, Sarah.
Bye.
So, Sarah, what'd you think?
Oh my gosh, there was a lot to unpack
amazing.
there.
It was amazing.
It's so funny because you, like, for me, I guess I'm a little ignorant, and like you hear about it, and you, whatever, Hollywood does.
You mean like the Netflix?
Netflix does like all these like.
But when you speak to
takes
someone for
on it.
real, yeah.
Yeah, but when you speak to somebody for real, you're like, okay, this is real dating, not dating, but like this is real process to get married, and it's very fascinating. And it also didn't seem like she was like, she said it very matter of factly, like this is how it is.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem like she was upset, or it didn't seem like she like was angry in the like for the system. She kind of did her own thing because she didn't like the system, and that was that. Everything is very much like to the point. Like if like the biodatas are to the point, and there's no gray area. Everything is very white or black.
Which I actually really appreciate, which I think is something that
I think I do too.
that if you are going to go through the shidduch system, we could be a little bit more literal.
Just say what you want. Just be straightforward.
Like, you're looking for a rich guy? Put it on the thing. Put it on the paper. Like,
right.
she's mentioned it.
Or say we only want to date somebody who has XYZ job or has XYZ income.
Right. And as much as, again, I'm not into it, but I think that's still a better alternative than to vaguely say, I'm family oriented, put me together with someone that you somehow should know exactly what I'm looking for or whatever, and you're just sending me random shidduch matches and they're all whatever. Everyone's just like not forward and honest about it.
If you're also looking to marry somebody who's just yeshivish, then that should be straightforward too,
Straightforward, just be more. Yeah, it was just great. I just loved it. It was almost like having it's like one of those pieces of paper that are laminated. It's got like, if you are X, you're looking for YZE, whatever. So meaning if you have a certain surname, if you're from a certain wealthy family, we're looking for this skin color. We're looking for someone who's this height.
Yeah.
Whatever. It was like very specific.
Right. But I guess in that culture it works, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of backlash because like it seems like the fathers have full control, and then you know what type of family you come from, and so therefore you know what type of man you are marrying.
Right.
And for the men, it seems like there's lower standards for them. It seems like they have a lot of control over who they can choose, it depending on their family background, depending on their money, and like that's that.
Yeah. And especially, I mean, at the age that you're getting married, I mean, she said like her sister got married, 15 or whatever, but now it's 18. I mean, like, yeah, it's based on the family income, because at 18, how much money are you going to be making at 18?
Well, right. I mean, I guess it's more of like the
it's a family royalty type thing.
Right. Well, the men are going to be making, it sounds like the men are going to be educated, and the men are going to be working, and the women will be at home. So it doesn't really matter what age. That's why they marry them young.
So yeah, but I think my biggest takeaway was, I think you said it best. Like, she wasn't bitter about anything. She just kind of took things into her own hands. She met her husband via a friend or whatever, and they dated for freaking 4 years.
Yeah, through college.
4 years. I mean, like, bravo to them. She did what she wanted, and I'm a big fan of that. And I think that's a big takeaway. I think for anyone stuck in the shidduchim system who feel they're trapped in this stupid whatever, to kind of take things into their own hands.
Yeah.
And even though it may feel hard and tough at the beginning, but I feel that just to think like as a goal, just let me do what I want. We'll figure out the details later. I think that's in and of itself is a success.
Yeah, for sure. And like she said, she loves her husband. She's happy. And
she's in a love marriage. We want to be in love marriages.
She's in a love marriage, and she decided to choose love marriage over arranged marriage because her older siblings, she saw that they were just not in a love marriage.
It makes me sad.
She didn't want that.
Makes me sad.
it makes me sad too, but also that's like the culture.
It's culture.
So I'm sure she said her sister is best friends with her husband.
But at least the guy sounds like a great guy and everything.
Her husband?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like he wasn't like a, he
No,
wasn't like
he's a great guy.
He's a great guy. Whatever.
Yeah.
It was just great to hear like they have bio data. Like, but again, she even started laughing when I said, "You guys put on like same BS like we do, like family oriented." And she started laughing.
Yeah.
Like, how absurd is it to like? Of course you're family oriented. Like, why are we writing this?
Well, she was like, I think she was laughing at the fact of like how crazy it is that they do
It's the
have
most
that.
useless like it sounded like.
But it sounds like for them it is actually very useful.
So because there's information on it.
Right.
Meaning to them, a surname means something.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Everything means something. Mm-hmm. Call education, this and that, whatever. That means something to them.
That means actually something to them, yes.
To say family oriented doesn't mean anything to anybody.
Wait, so what are you suggesting for the
Well, I've been suggesting this
resumes?
I've been suggesting this forever. Take out all the crap.
Right, not their bio.
Stuff that literally is the most generic, most basic BS you could write that means nothing and doesn't tell me anything about them. You need to eliminate.
Right.
Period. If
Only
nothing
put in the important stuff.
If nothing is on your resume that's important, it needs to come off. Mm-hmm. Am I a fan of resumes? No, but if you were to do it, I do think there's a better approach to doing it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree with you.
And then if you want to really pimp it out and want to go my way and want to show, certain characteristics such as you're into, working out.
Right. You were talking about this on a previous episode.
Like you could do a lot of
damage. Be more
damage.
specific.
You could really pimp, and I say this as like in a good way, really make your resume stand out. Anybody who looks at that resume after it was done like that is going to stand out from the crowd. How many resumes that say family oriented? I mean, I can't say it's goal oriented. But someone's like runs marathon every year for XYZ.
Right, you were saying to be more specific.
Whatever.
Yeah,
it's going to stand out.
Yeah, well, that was very special.
Yeah,
and we appreciate Nahima to come on and speak.
Thank you, Nahima.
Yeah. Other than that, thank you guys for listening to our podcast. I hope you enjoyed hearing Nahima and everything that she shared. Like us, subscribe to our podcast. We're not just on Spotify.
Yeah, we're everywhere now.
We're like on everywhere.
Yeah.
We're on Apple. We're on Apple Podcasts.
We're on Amazon. We're on Google Podcasts and a bunch of other random iHeart.
That's awesome.
iHeart Podcasts, iHeart Radio, whatever you call it.
Yeah. So we're out there if you want to listen.
Yeah, just type in good for Shidduchim.
Good for Shidduchim.
Or just type in our names. Type in Sarah Levine. It's a very you can't screw that up.
That's true, but they may come up with a couple different pockets. Sarah Levine, I feel like, is such a
Max
generic.
Landisman, whatever.
But,
or just simply share the link with a friend.
Yeah, share the link. Share the love and share the link.
That's right. Share the love. I love it.
Thank you guys.
It's good for Shidduchim.
It's good for Shidduchim. But thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
And remember, everything will always be about Shidduchim. Catch you in the next episode.